Okay, here we are live. Let's take a breath before we go any further. Okay. And I am Lisa McNett, founder of One Breath Institute. I'm just looking, we are live. Great. Founder of One Breath Institute. And with me today is Aysu Sinman. Aysu, her business is Breath Glow. Super love the new name that you came up with, Aysu. And before we dive in, these are informal conversations. So I called it Tea and Talk, and this week I have my tea.
Yeah, I have my water.
Okay. Last week Max had tea and I had water. But yeah, I have this is my favorite mug that has been with me since I lived in Chicago. So this goes way, way, way back to like 2000, circa 2000. Probably got it in like 2003. Anyway, it's an informal conversation between myself and students or graduates or faculty. And so today we have Aysu, and I'll just read a little bit of Aysu's bio. Aysu is an optimist and lover of life. Aysu is driven from the heart and committed to spreading goodness. Yes, you are. She is passionate about growing, learning, discovering human behavior, and tapping into our wisdom. Her curiosity about how life can be lived in a distinctively meaningful way has caused her to question everything happening around her. That's big. So I just want to give that space. She has been immensely interested in human capacity throughout her life, and she is dedicated to helping people reach their innate potential by understanding themselves truly and more deeply through presence. Being aware of sensations and feelings, breathing mindfully, embodying emotions, and expressing themselves freely. How does it feel to receive those words?
Wow, exciting. And it just puts myself in front of me, my thoughts and my feelings, and it feels really good. It feels really good.
Good. Yeah. So Aysu, Aysu was one of our very first students. She was in our first training. And Aysu was one of the first mentors with our school. Aysu has been a mentor with our school. And she was our first assistant teacher. So she has assisted on the personal journey, feels like many times now, and
Right.
is at a space where she can facilitate her own personal journey. And I imagine that will be happening.
Mm-hmm.
And Aysu has her own business in Montreal that she is growing. And so it's all very exciting things for Aysu and with Aysu. And as I say all that, I can see the progression in my mind, in my mental image. And I'm super proud of you. But I'm just going to ask you if you would share for those who don't know you a little bit about just what brought you to the breath and to breathwork training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, I was always interested in psychology and trying to understand myself and as well as others. And observing a lot how relationships are happening in families and friendships. And I always knew that I wanted to go deep into learning breathing, but I didn't know with who, when, and where, what. So it was always in the background. And during pandemic, there was a lockdown. There was nothing to do, and I was teaching yoga and Pilates, and those studios closed permanently. And I had a lot of time, and I was searching, like, breathing, what can happen, how can I learn more about breathing. And then I came across to your website and to your Sunday sessions, and that's how I got to know One Breath Institute. And coming back to being a first student, one of the first students in the group, I want to talk about signs in our lives, because this, I don't think I shared it with you. We were in communication, and we met each other, and I had a lot of questions, and I was still hesitant if I want to do it with One Breath Institute. And my husband also was coming to the Sunday session, so he knew you and Debbie as well. And one day we went to a friend's house. We were guests for a dinner, and then we were coming back home. It was late, around 12 or 1, I don't know. So usually the traffic lights are just red. They're red, and they're flashing red, and just to bring awareness, and no cars. And then I was speaking to my husband in the car. I want to do this. I want to get into training, but do you think I'm at the right place? I should do this with these people. You also know them. And then the lights, I didn't notice. He told me the lights were going green, like green, 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 flashing green. And he didn't say anything. He said, look around, take this as a sign. I said, yeah, you're right. These lights are always red. So I was like, that was so easy to connect to that yes at that moment. So that was, yeah, I wanted to tell you that, which I didn't before. I don't know why. We've been together in like 2 years. Um, so that was interesting. I always wanted to learn, and yeah, that's when I was at the edge to make a decision. And I always wanted to do it with the right people, let me say it that way, because when we want to learn something, the teacher shows up, but the right teacher right teacher is the main component, so that we don't go into another training and we don't go over the process again in another way. So that's just a starting. uh,
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Yeah, it's so interesting, these little pieces that we hold back until whatever moment feels like the right moment. So I just love that story. It's like 12 o'clock at night. You're driving home with your husband. I almost said his name, but I don't know if we wanted to say his name publicly. You're driving home with your husband. You're in this place of still not sure if we're the right school, and you're talking to him about it, and he notices the green flashing lights and says look around. So thank you to your husband for pointing that out. And thank you to the universe.
Yeah, universe. So trusting the universe, right? And trusting that gut feeling that's inside of us is also what breath has taught me to trust. Trust what comes. And even if it's a wrong decision, because I was afraid of making a wrong decision, I wasn't able to step into my decision saying that, oh, this is the right place to be. I'm at the right place. And yeah, that time there was in the middle of pandemic, and I was thinking in my mind that I needed a job when this pandemic was going after it ends. And then I didn't want to go to a 9 to 5 job, and I I've done that, and I've had enough of it, and I was looking for something else that's more connected to me, that's more meaningful to me. And so when I came to the Sunday sessions, just the idea of breathing and not thinking of anything, it was kind of an escape for me. I don't want to think about anything else. The responsibilities, the decisions that I have to make for the future. I said, I'm just going to give myself time and just breathe with the group. And that's when things started opening up for me. And then that's when I made that decision to come to the training. Yeah, so a lot of things happened after that, and I can just go on and on.
Yeah, no, I just want to highlight that piece though about the thinking, right? The like thinking in my mind, what am I going to do? I'm going to need to get a job after this pandemic. You know, yoga Pilates studios can shut down. I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. What am I going to do? And you were looking for breath work. You were already in that process. And even that was a lot of like thinking. And then once
Mhm.
you stopped the thinking, you said it was kind of like an escape. But then it wasn't an escape because it's once you started just breathing and connecting more with more of yourself than just the thinking, that is when
Mhm,
everything started opening up for you.
mhm, exactly. And when I thinking about it now, that I wasn't really looking for a job, I was looking for connection with myself, that I was longing to know what I really want. And that started happening with breathing, with introspective breathing. And coming to that, yeah, so I was already meditating and doing a lot of work uh, spiritually, but it was not easy to be grounded in my body, to be in the physical, in the material world. So I can be out there just meditating all the time, and that feels great. That's really amazing. But to come down to the senses and to feel what's going on, not rejecting, accepting, and not judging, that was the hard part for me. And that took a lot of time to integrate integrate and realize, what's going on here. So breath brought me to being in the body more, grounding myself, not just meditating and being in a space out.
Why would you say that's important?
Being in the body,
Yeah.
because we live in the physical body, the energy, we are already energy beings, but maybe I didn't know how to be in the physical body to answer my needs, to take care of myself more, and to show self-love, that unconditional self-love that I needed came to me when I got grounded and started feeling the sensations, understanding how these happening.
Yeah, and you mentioned too connection to yourself, like that you thought you were what you were seeking was like a career,
Mhm,
something the word that I'm going to use because that's what's coming to me is something to give meaning in some
mm,
way. But that meaning came when you really grounded into yourself and connected to yourself. And yeah, you said we're living in this, you were living here. And so to be able to love myself and accept myself unconditionally, I have to be present with the physical
mhm,
because it's
mhm.
different out there.
Yeah, yeah, it is really different, and it's really different in the body too.
Right.
So that's the work, that's the change that's happening during breath work. If uh, like doing, I want to come to a doing, knowing, and being. So these are three different things, and when when I think of doing, like I'm going to give an example of a swimmer because I was swimming when I was young. So doing swimming, I mean, knowing swimming, I know somebody knows how to swim. But swimming, I can swim from time to time when I want. That's just a action of swimming. But being a swimmer is a totally different kind of lifestyle. It's a different person. So coming back to breathing or being present in the moment when breathing, like we all know how to breathe, right? That's just automatic. We don't think about it. But doing the work, doing the breathing, coming to the sessions, that's doing the work. And just being in that present moment, being the breath is a totally different lifestyle. So, you know, we hear a lot of the work, doing the work. So what does that mean, doing the work? inside, like I'm working on myself. What it means to me is I'm being present. So I am being a conscious being, human being, is totally different than reading books and liking the posts and just following the people. That's just another life. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just that doing the work, and what that means. I brought up, Debbie reshared something that I've spoken to. She reshared it on social media lately, something that I've spoken to about how the work doesn't have to be like so hard, like something that you do externally. It's really that just being in this presence and connecting with what is presently here. And sometimes that can feel like a lot of work because we may want to reject what's here or we may not like what's here. But it's a very different kind of work than, okay, I'm going to take this class and, it's feeding the mental imagery. And so,
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And what you use the word hard. Yes, it is hard at sometimes because we're resisting to see all parts. I was resisting to see all parts of me. And that's when it was hard. But being able to see the good, the bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever comes up, shows up, that's the work for me. It's accepting what's there, but all of it, without filtering, without ignoring. I think that's what it means when it's hard. This work is hard because it is hard sometimes. It's not easy to acknowledge. And when there is, when I say I don't like that part of me, which I had many, then that means I can't show love to those parts of me. There's no love. There's no self-love when I see myself in that position or in that frame, whatever that is.
Yeah. And I think that is a lot harder. That takes a lot more energy
Mm-hmm.
on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So let's just take a breath.
Yeah.
Wow, so much richness and so much value in what you're speaking to. And you've shared so much about your journey with the breath and what that means and what that looks like. And I'm just curious, yeah, also about how this translates to how you work with people, or anything you want to share about how you
Mm-hmm.
work with people or what you've learned from working with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned when working with people is that as a facilitator, I try to show up with a neutral myself, so not bringing myself, my experiences, and just honoring where they're at and understanding where they are. When asking questions or when they're speaking about themselves, just creating a safe space for them. And that requires for me to be neutral. So I realized this not in just sessions, but in all relationships with my children also. I'm going to come to parenting with that. And coming to neutral without any expectation, without any judgment, without labeling was a big piece for me that I learned. And that's how I show up right now to my sessions, in group sessions. I leave the space to people so that they can see themselves in that open space.
Which is such a gift. Such a gift. So, yeah, you said you're going to come to speaking about
Yeah.
parents. And so, yeah, let's just go into that.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit harder maybe with my own kids because, I know their personality. I try to get into their world to understand them better. So whatever I learned in this training, the communication skills, I use it in my personal life and not just professional life. So it's everywhere. The skills that we learned in this training are just a tool that we need all the time. And when it comes to parenting, in order to understand my kids better and understand that communication, the relationship better, I'm more grounded in myself, that I can understand them better and just leave an open space for them if they want to share whatever they want to share. Or I used to take it personal when they take themselves to their room and they don't want to talk. I say they don't want to talk to me, but it's not about me, it's about them. Yeah, it's about them. So when I understand their world, that gave me so much freedom inside, and trust, also trust what they're going through, what I'm going through at the same time. So yeah, meeting everyone where they're at is really taught me a lot.
As you were speaking, I'm not a parent. And I was just connecting with, I can only imagine how many parents needed to hear that message, that it's not personal when your child wants space or whatever they're doing. Like, how can we step back and put ourselves in our child's shoes a little bit? But what if we did that, like, with everybody we encounter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If it's love, for example, I used to, every parent wants to hug their kids, right? So I used to, yeah, hug me, let's hug. And then I said, stop it. They don't want to be hugged. It's my need. It's my need. It's not their need. So I thought that was a way of showing love to them. But, that physical touch is not the only way of showing love. There are a lot of other things that to show love, and that's just one part of
Like
it.
respecting their needs.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of saying, oh, they don't love me as much as I love them,
Yeah.
why don't they hug me? It's like, okay, I know they need their time.
Yeah. 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 Wow. So let's take a breath with that.
So another thing I want to emphasize is like breath. When I think of breath, I always think about breath. But when I this last days that I was thinking about breath, it's like a drill. It goes in so deep that it finds that places that some emotions are hidden and the feelings or some suppressed whatever is there, and it just gently brings it out. It's like invites it to come out. It's like, come to the surface, let's hold hands and let's just clear this out. So that's the breath in my mind right now. It's just invisible drill that's going really deep down. And if there's resistance, like we see in some students and in some clients, if there's resistance, it's like nothing can go down there. And it can't be resolved.
Yeah. I really appreciate that image of the drilling down in. And it really kind of is like that. And so, what happens when that drill hits the cement? What happens when it hits the cement? And so, the image that comes to my mind is, it's like, yeah, just like a slightly different kind of imagery. I think you've probably heard me say this before. It's like water moving through a stream, and then the water comes to a place in the stream where it's like there's a dam, or there's a whole bunch of rocks that are built up, and so the water is like stuck up against that dam, but it's water, so it's just like much more slowly seeping in and around and through. So it's almost like, if a person is willing, at least willing for some possibility, it can still we might not see it as fast, it might not move as fast, but it's still going. But if that willingness is not there, then it's still the cement and the drill is stuck.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that shows us that, and it showed me that change can happen in any minute with your breath if you allow it to be. So it's not, nothing is impossible. But when we try to think it with the mind, how is this going to work out? How is this going to happen? How am I going to get over something that I want to? Then breath work is the way. If for people who are listening to this right now, you don't need to know how, you don't need to know, you don't need to question if this technique works or not, because it does. It does. It does. It's about you. It's all about you. If you want to get into this work that we talked about, the seeing all parts of you, if you're ready to do this, you just jump in.
So how can people work with you, Aysu? What do you have going on? That you can offer to people. Tell us about how people can work with you.
Yeah. So they can reach me through my Instagram account, which is Breath Glow. They can send a direct message asking about my offerings, which are one-on-one. I do online sessions one-on-one, and I also do in-person. I live in Montreal, Canada. And I also have group sessions going on every week on Fridays. And that's a very nice and a small group. We're meeting at a studio, very neat and cozy studio. They can reach out to me through email, breathglow@gmail.com. And they can schedule a clarity call with me for 15 minutes. That's a free call. And we can talk what they need, what they expect from a session. And I can also explain what to get out of the session. And that's a way to contact me.
Okay, so Breath Glow on Instagram, breathglow@gmail.com. And I think you have a Facebook page now too.
Oh yes, I have a Facebook page. I recently opened it. It's Aysu Sinman, Breath Glow. And they can also reach me through One Breath Institute.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
She has a web page on our website, onebreathinstitute.com. Aysu Sinman. Okay, so I love it. So you're doing online, you're doing in person. These are one-to-ones, and then you have groups in Montreal every Friday, and a nice, cozy, intimate space.
And we will have a breath work and a sound bath session with a dear friend of mine, which is on May 13th. For people who live in Montreal, can again reach out for me for that. And I will post some information about it in the Facebook and the Instagram in this coming week.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Breath Glow. This came recently. You've renamed, rebranded recently. I would love to hear, is there anything that you want to say about Breath Glow?
Yeah, I do, because when I thought about this name, that really gave me so much energy inside, because that glow, that energy shines from inside and it reflects to the face. And this person told me once, it was almost like it was winter time, and it wasn't the daytime. And she came towards me and she said, "You're glowing." I said, "Okay, thank you." And she said, "What did you do?" I said, "I'm doing breathing." "Oh, can I learn breathing?" And yeah, when I think of glow, it's like a different view, a different lens to look at life. Like when, have you seen some videos about, there are glasses for colorblind people, and for colorblind children, when they put it on, their excitement, their way to look at life is just over the moon. It's like you see the colors. So breath work is breath glow, is when you put on those glasses and you see the world in a different way, different colors.
I love that so much. Thank you for telling me the story. Before we close out, is there one more piece of wisdom, because there's been so much already, that wants to be shared?
I just want to say, learn conscious connected breathing, and there's nothing that you cannot change. And it's not about change, it's about how you see yourself. So if you want to refine your character, just see the world in a different way, just breathe mindfully.
With that, let's take a conscious and mindful breath. Thank you, Aysu.
Thank you, Lisa. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely the same feeling. So I appreciate your time this morning. And everyone listening and watching, thank you so much. And we'll see you
Cheers.
soon. Cheers. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.